in the Southeastern Conference. It's the 213th meeting all time. It dates back to the early 1900s, if you can believe it. Missouri and White, they've only lost once at home, but that was in their last game. Opening tip is controlled by Mizzou. Missouri coming in ranked number 21 in America and having one of the better resurgent years of any team in college basketball. Another great crowd on hand here at the Mizzou Arena. Oklahoma, man-to-man defense as Robinson probes the baseline, hangs, fires, and hits it high up the window and in.
That's a good early sign because Robinson's been in a slump the last 3 games, just 6 total points.
Fears, the dynamic freshman, part of this Oklahoma starting 5. Bryson Goodine in the starting lineup for Oklahoma of recent times as he's been shooting exceptionally well, 45 from behind the arc. Inside, bully ball. That is Mark Mitchell, the former Duke Blue Devil.
Just such a difficult guard. He presents all kinds of matchup problems.
Miles up top. Off to the freshman phenom Fears, who gets it back. Fears draws a lot of attention no matter who is up against Oklahoma. A drive and kick sets up an open 3. And a miss there for the offensive rebound. Great hustle by Godwin. Mid-range jumper no good. Tapped around. Oklahoma will get a 3rd try. T3 on the way, and that was rattled in for Duke Miles. The Missouri starting 5. We talked about Bates. Again, Grill comes off the bench. The biggest addition, Mark Mitchell, without question. The transfer from Duke has been an exceptional force down low. Robinson hit on the 3 by Fears. He'll go to the line for 3. And Mark, you and I have been talking about this all year long. The amazing amount of fouled 3-point shooters in the game.
The closeout, the angle of the closeout is so wrong. Again, if you're going to close out on a 3-point shooter, you must go by him, not at him. And more times than not, we have seen more 3-point shooters get fouled because of the wrong angle.
Dennis Gates, first year NCAA tournament. Last year, 0-19 in SEC play. A great freshman class, but really it's been the transfers that have helped turn this thing around. That, and of course, Caleb Grill has been healthy the entire season. When you add all that up, Coach Gates now has one of the most dangerous teams in the SEC.
Robinson, an 80% free throw shooter.
And he barely got the bounce on the 3rd one.
Both of these teams like to run a lot of 4-out, 5-out offensively. Trying to spread the defense from sideline to sideline.
Driving, take, everything but the bucket, but Godwin so active on the offensive glass is there for the stick back.
How about the offensive rebounding by Oklahoma early on? That's been one of their big problem issues.
Mitchell takes it strong. And he will draw a trip to the free throw line as well. Porter Moser, the head coach, now in his 4th season in Norman. 2 Sweet 16 appearances, and of course the Final 4 with Loyola of Chicago. That made Porter a household name and a hot commodity in the coaching ranks.
You're going to see when he's on the floor, Missouri run there as there's a look at maybe the 6th man in this conference, Caleb Grill. I was talking about Mitchell and what a tough cover he is. A lot of times Missouri will isolate Mitchell to get feet in the paint, not necessarily as a scorer, but as a facilitator.
Missouri back on top by a deuce.
One of the things that Porter Moser talked to us about, Mike, was making sure that Missouri did not get off to a fast start.
That is an unforced error and a turnover way over the head of the 6'7" Jalen Moore.
Mizzou worked on that double team off the ball screen on Fears today at shoot around. Fears has great positional size at 6'4". He's just got to make a better decision. His assist to turnover ratio for the season is almost 1-to-1. He's a better player than that.
2 early turnovers on the freshman. Missouri can do that to you. They will get after you on the defensive end for sure.
Here's the isolation after the switch with Mitchell.
Grill into the game.
How about Grill and Goodine going at it? 2 elite three-point shooters.
That'll be a fun matchup to watch throughout the night. Grill, unconscious, just shot that one up with a hand right in his face.
It's a good corner box out by Kobe Elvis.
Elvis takes it with the left, tried to drop off the pass down low to Wagee, but it wasn't there. Bates on the handoff up top. Probes the right side, nothing there. Back out to Grill and a quick dump off. This is Perkins. Now Mitchell finds the cutting Grill, and Grill banks it home with the left hand.
Again, you see the creativity of Mark Mitchell, a guy 6'9" who can create off the bounce, not necessarily for himself, but for his teammates.
Open 3 on the way, back iron. Oklahoma crashing again. They already have 4 offensive rebounds. Lazy pass stolen away.
Everybody went on down the floor.
And then Oklahoma just boots it. Goodine couldn't hold on to it. And that'll take us to our first media timeout. Missouri leading it by 4. Here on the SEC Network, Mark, we're enjoying a rivalry that was classic for years, going all the way back to the Missouri Valley, the Big 6, the Big 7, the Big 8, the Big 12, now in the SEC.
You're naming some conferences I didn't even know existed that these two teams have been a part of over the course of the years.
Well, it has existed for a long time, and now it is back in full force. Again, they go back 93 years they played in the same conference, and then there was a brief divorce, if you will, and now all of a sudden Oklahoma, part of the SEC. These two have had great moments over the year, and of course they'll meet every season now as part of the expanded SEC in college basketball. Missouri has won 6 straight here in Como. Oklahoma really could use a big road win tonight.
And this is the first of 2 times that these teams will meet, because there's a return game in Norman on March 5th.
And of course, we've got 2 of the best three-point shooting teams in the SEC. Oklahoma is in 3rd at 38%. Missouri is 2nd at 39%. And speaking of good shooters, we got 2 of the best in this game. Caleb Grill, who shoots 48%. There he is, number 31 in white. And Oklahoma has a couple of guys in Fears and more that can shoot him, as well as Goodine.
Now, Oklahoma is getting some great looks.
There is Goodine, steps into a 3. There is a young man you do not want to let heat up if you're Missouri. 45% from downtown. You and I had the game.
Yeah, especially if we're in the house.
He had 9 of them. He was 9 for 11 against A&M. That was coming off the bench, by the way.
And right now, the opportunistic Sooners. Oh my goodness.
Josh Gray, straight line drive right to the basket and does a chin up on the rim.
Oklahoma 14th in league play in rebound margin. They have had numerous in the early going second chance, third chance opportunities.
Already a handful of offensive rebounds, but also a number of turnovers already. That's 4 giveaways by the Sooners.
There's Mitchell again. Feet in the paint.
Bates, too easy. Baseline drive. How about a double pump? Tamar Bates, known more for his outside shooting, but that time shows a little elevation. Inside, wheeling, dealing, no. The miss by Jalen Moore.
Fun part of this matchup, both teams want to play at a high pace.
Missouri red hot already, 83% from the field. Most of those buckets coming right at the rim. Bates up top, waits for a ball screen. Miles still hounding him. Bates, mid-range, back iron, and a rebound to Kobe Elvis.
Now Oklahoma has had 3 or 4 straight possessions that were empty. They've got to have a better idea of what they want to accomplish in the half court.
Elvis threads the needle. And then a tough shot and an and one for Moore. And Jalen Moore is going to have to be an impact player tonight for Oklahoma.
We talked about Bryson Goodine and his range. Watch after this second shot opportunity. Well beyond the head of the key, and then the ball movement. Mitchell feet in the paint, the extra pass by Grill. Bates with the ball fake. And then Oklahoma in response. Moore, who really plays with angles, kind of slashes his way to the rim, scores in a variety of different ways.
It's a weird matchup in that both these teams have a modest 2-game losing streak, but that doesn't tell the story.
Right.
Missouri has played back-to-back top 10 teams, and Oklahoma has played back-to-back top 10 teams. So they both have been facing elite competition here of late. And in the case of Missouri, they lost their first home game to Texas A&M.
Now those 2 losses by a total of 7 points.
Missouri has been awfully difficult to beat in this building this year. Mitchell, everything but the finish. Good move, and a nice job by Oklahoma to box out and get the rebound. Forsythe into the game for the Sooners. Dayton Forsythe, the freshman from Dale, Oklahoma.
Northweather 37% from bonus land, more than capable. Robinson's got to be ready to shoot that. 38%.
Mitchell gets his own miss. Mark Mitchell is so menacing inside, and as you mentioned, he also has great eyes and great vision. Doesn't make many mistakes.
I don't know that he's Missouri's best player, but he makes everybody else around him better.
How about most valuable player? Certainly has been the biggest addition this year for Missouri.
Here's the mismatch again. He's too powerful.
Mitchell goes downhill and draws the foul. As soon as he got that ball and looked up at Luke Northweather, he took it right at number 45.
Take another look at Mark Mitchell off the bounce. Isolation, he's got a tremendous size advantage. Just takes advantage not with the first shot, but with the second. Right now, Oklahoma has no one who can match up defensively with Mark Mitchell.
Now Mitchell already 6 points, 3 rebounds on the night. Former Duke Blue Devil. I mean, he wasn't just a guy on the roster for Duke. He's a guy that averaged double figures for his career in Durham. Needless to say, a huge pickup. Originally out of Kansas City, and Coach Gates talked about how Tamar Bates was instrumental in the recruiting process, if you will, of getting Mark Mitchell to come back closer to home.
Right. And when Mitchell goes to the bench, Missouri likes to change their offense a little bit. It'll be more of a complete 5-out situation, and everybody gets a touch.
Glenn Taylor into the game, the senior for Oklahoma, number 35. Sooners trying to find some daylight, which is always so difficult against these Missouri defensive units. Elvis missed it, and Caleb Grill, nice job boxing out on the rebound. Jacob Cruz, he's been red hot of late, and he remains red hot. Jacob Cruz, over his last 3 games, averaging over 10 points a game and shooting 44% from downtown. Drive and kick, open 3 from the corner, pops out. A good look for Kobe Elvis. Shaw into the game for Missouri. Aiden Shaw turns it over to the Oklahoma basketball when we come back, but Missouri leads it by 8.
Jacob Cruz making his 9th 3-point shot in the last 4 and beat a lot of different teams in a lot of different ways. I really like the makeup of this Tiger squad.
Yeah, they already have 7 free throws. You mentioned their ability to get to the line. How about this for a number? When they shoot more free throws than their opponents, they're 15-2.
Yeah.
And that's something that Porter Moser talked to us about this morning, that we can't have a situation where we're putting them on the free throw line all game long. Also can't have a situation where you turn it over frequently. That part of the equation has not been good either so far for Mizzou, as the Sooners have turned it over 4 times early on.
Sooner transition D that Porter Moser talked to us about has not been very good. And one of the questions I talked about, or I asked myself in this game, who guards Mark Mitchell? And so far, no one.
Yeah, that's been a problem. Oklahoma sometimes getting a little bit bullied in this ultra physical Southeastern Conference. Inside stripped. Godwin had it and then lost it. Robinson downhill, and that's going to be offensive.
It's a rare offensive foul in transition. I do think Fears got in the right path. And remember, he did it so far out on the floor, it's before Robinson had a chance to get his last foot up off the floor,
right,
which would kick in that harder to get, take the charge play.
Great point. Full court man-to-man illustrated by Mizzou, and
that's a 5-second
count. My goodness. Duke Miles.
Porter Moser's out on the floor like his team got the timeout. He's not aware. He is now.
I thought I saw, I couldn't tell if it was Miles or not. I was obstructed by a couple of jerseys. I thought I saw somebody call for a timeout, but that doesn't mean anything if it's after the 5-second violation has already occurred.
Neither team has been really good in out-of-bounds situations. So I think Taylor on Mitchell is a better matchup for Oklahoma, but then they switch.
Robinson, a lot of dribbling, finally throws it up there and misses everything. And then a foul called on Robinson. And that's his second. So Anthony Robinson, who has improved dramatically from his freshman year.
I'm not sure they ended up calling a foul there. I think Terry Oglesby just kind of helped out on the call. I never did see him report to the scorer's table the foul.
No, you're right. There is no foul on the play. Just a whistle to confirm the call to Oklahoma. And right now, Oklahoma is having problems just connecting on passes. Missouri does a great job of getting in passing lanes.
And one of the ingredients I think you have to be really good defensively is team speed, quickness. I think Missouri has a lot of that.
Certainly do. Kind of been a trademark of a Coach Gates team going back to his days at Cleveland State. Dribbling right into the defense that time, and that'll lead to an easy stuff the other end for Anthony Robinson. 7 early turnovers on Oklahoma.
And those turnovers, they make your defense garbage.
Forsythe, the freshman, having a hard time. Another turnover. Missouri almost gave it right back. Grill tried to thread the needle to a cutting Cruz.
Mike, don't you feel like Missouri has sped up Oklahoma here in the first 10 minutes?
Yeah, I think.
I'm not sure Oklahoma's comfortable playing this fast.
Well, you just stole my word. They don't look they look uncomfortable, I think is the word for Oklahoma through the first 10 minutes of this game. Everything offensively. Think about it, without the offensive rebounds, they haven't had a whole lot of good plays on the offensive side. Right now, they're on the wrong end of an 8-0 run for Missouri. Marquez Warwick Gives it off to Mitchell. Mitchell trying to bully his way inside. Backdoor baseline cut by Grill. A fade and fire. That misses, and good eye on a box out for Oklahoma.
Now Oklahoma needs a good trip.
Fears has been quiet, and he'll remain that way as he missed the lefty.
I love the drive. That's one you got to make.
Projected first-round pick, Jeremiah Fears.
Everybody's getting bumped off their drive. These are fouls.
Inside Mitchell. And that time he wound up on Fears, and that's an obvious mismatch. Well, a timeout called by Oklahoma with 9:21 to go as the lead swells to a dozen for Mizzou.
And when I talk about the pace of play, Missouri very comfortable in pushing ahead. But I think they have a great sense of when is it time to back out and run offense. That's great recognition. Mitchell had already sealed Fears inside, but the pass is on the money from Warwick. That's an easy flush for Mitchell. And as I talked about earlier, he is a matchup nightmare for opposing coaches.
We have another men's basketball quadruple header on Saturday here on the SEC Network. It'll all start with Vandy, Tennessee. That'll be at 1 o'clock. That'll be shortly followed up by this Missouri team traveling to Athens. We will be not traveling with Mizzou. That would be a violation, but we will be in Athens to call that one as well. That'll be a huge game for Georgia right now on the bubble, and of course Missouri trying to continue momentum tonight, and then on the road at Stegman Coliseum.
And Lenardi tonight has Georgia as the last team in. You win this time of the year if you're on the Lenardi ladder. If you win, you get to climb up. But if you lose, you get to take steps down.
A quick double down low on Jalen Moore, who's been rather silent and left that hook shot short. Oklahoma has not been able to find anything easy on the offensive end. Cruz looking for a bailout, finds Robinson. Robinson rejects the screen and then draws a hand check foul on Bryson Goodine. That's the 4th foul on Oklahoma.
When Missouri gets the ball in, watch where all 5 white jerseys run to. They all go to the arc. It is a spread out, 5-out offense designed for Mitchell to take opportunities driving or for any kind of ball screen action.
I mentioned the back-to-back games for Oklahoma against top 5 competition, a road loss to Auburn, a home loss to Tennessee. This is their 5th consecutive game. As we see the jump ball and the arrow goes to Oklahoma. 5th consecutive game against a top 25 opponent.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened since the early 90s. That would have been back in the Big 8.
Right.
The last time that has actually happened. So we're looking at one of the most difficult stretches of games in the history of Oklahoma basketball. And there you see that stretch. A&M, Vandy, Auburn, Tennessee, and now 21st ranked Missouri, all nationally ranked in the top 25.
And yet we have several of those, I think. Ask any coach in the league who they think has the toughest conference schedule. They all do.
Yeah, ours. Well, Alabama's building a case because they're going to have a 7-game stretch of top 25 opponents. I've never seen that in years of covering the sport. There's an and one and a much-needed stop of the Missouri run, which was getting out of hand. That'll be Jeremiah Fears, his first basket.
Taking another look, Fears angles left. Barrett had come into the game and fell off balance. And that's an easy finish for a 6'4" guard.
Jeremiah Fears was so good in the non-conference slate. A buzzer beater. Very often leading the team in scoring. That got everybody's attention.
Yeah, 4-point play against Michigan.
That's right. And a fairly good start in SEC play as well. Has calmed down a little bit the last couple games. They need him to heat up again. Strong take. Great defense. And a late foul called on Sam Godwin.
This is a late whistle, but I think it's the correct call. I thought Mitchell got fouled by Godwin. You know, I would be tempted to maybe to throw out a zone and just see what Missouri does. I know Missouri's got a multitude of really good three-point shooters. But right now, the Sooners have no answer for Mark Mitchell. I mean, I hate to keep repeating myself, but it's pretty obvious right now.
Well, Mitchell goes 6'9", he's 230, and he has an array of moves that are hard to keep up with. Even if you combat him with size, he has quickness to go on that 6'9", 230-pound frame. Mitchell buries them both. The lead back to 11.
If you're Oklahoma, you just kind of want to get the fight of the game back in the middle of the ring. Because right now they're on the ropes.
There
nice
you go.
Execution.
Great action in the half court. An easy bucket for Jalen Moore. This is Warwick. Stops at the free throw line.
Here's the isolation again.
Another mismatch. Good eye. Mitchell's going to take it right at him and just draw a foul. There's just no chance for a guard to cover Mark Mitchell down low. 25-16. Mark Mitchell putting on a clinic in Como.
One of the cornerstones of good offense is body movement. Watch from the right side of your screen, 14 red. That's Jalen Moore, just kind of does an interchange. There's confusion by the defense, and Moore gets the easiest deuce that Oklahoma has had in this game so far. But it's simple, but it's effective because you have great body movement. Take a look at Moore's numbers and how he has progressed, whether you're talking about his first 2 years at Georgia Tech or his last 2 years here at Oklahoma.
Young man out of Birmingham, Alabama, who's the fourth leading scorer in the SEC, and oh, by the way, shoots 43% from behind the arc. He's been extremely valuable. The problem in this game and in some of Oklahoma's games, he doesn't have a ton of help in the front court, Mark, and a guy that can certainly take advantage of that is and has been Mark Mitchell, to the tune of 11 points and 4 rebounds. What do they do to stop the bleeding here and stop making it the Mark Mitchell show?
Well, I think you have a couple of options. One is you double anytime Mitchell gets the ball in any kind of low post isolation situation, or you throw a zone and see what happens. You
and I talk about this all the time. We don't see a lot of zone in this league.
No.
Some coaches, they would rather eat a raw onion or something or other than go to a zone. Missouri, on the other hand, just about every game they play, they will mix up the defenses, including right here.
A little full court pressure. Aiden Shaw on the point with his length. That ball should have been intercepted. That had too much air on it.
Oklahoma trying to get something in the half court. There's an easy call, a hold on Aiden Shaw, and an unnecessary foul on Shaw at the free throw line.
Yeah, Aiden Shaw, who has had a much less role this year. You just can't foul like that off the ball. That was about as obvious as it comes.
Great ball movement, sets up an open three from the corner. Tapped around, offensive rebound to Oklahoma. That's Glenn Taylor on the board.
Miles is getting some really good looks.
Fears drops it off to the slashing Jalen Moore, who will go back to the free throw line.
Really impressed with how Oklahoma, who has had so much trouble rebounding the ball, has given themselves second chance opportunities. As you see Jalen Moore again slashing to the basket.
That's the second foul on Anthony Robinson.
And when you're talking about Jalen Moore and his seasonal numbers, how about this combination? 52% from the floor, 43% from the arc, 83% at the free throw line. And oh yeah, by the way, he's playing in his 100th game today.
He's been terrific for this Oklahoma squad.
Missouri has really struggled getting the ball in against pressure. I don't like just straight cuts. I think you've got to screen for each other, fake screen, You can even slip. We think of slipping in as an offensive action in the half court. You can do that in full court to try and release some of the pressure. Now Grill can't move.
Oklahoma will peel back, and Shaw brings it in the front court, and he turns it over. Great hands by Taylor. Duke Miles splits the double, and then has it rejected. Put it right on a silver platter for Aiden Shaw.
I think this is my third time to have Oklahoma this year, and I've said this a couple of times. The guards have to have kind of a feel and a force field, if you will. I'd rather for them to play off 2 feet and shoot a 10-footer over the bigs instead of trying to challenge the bigs at the rim.
One of those bigs in the game right now the transfer from Alabama for Oklahoma is Wagee. He's on the left block. Meanwhile, a trap in the corner, and all Fears could do was throw it off a Missouri player out of bounds, and Caleb Grill took the worst of that one. And that was a fastball right at his body.
Yeah, they had doubled quickly in the corner. That's a call from the bench. Watch again, the quick double. Fears knows he's in trouble, so just tries to throw it off Grill. And he kind of throws it off his grill.
Well, when you've got a six-pack like Mark Wise, that doesn't leave a mark. But for your average human, that's going to take a little wind out of the sails.
Now there's this hard double team. Much better job by Fears.
Kick basketball. It'll remain Oklahoma ball, but the good news is they go from 3 on the shot clock to 20. Talking about bubble teams earlier. Right now, Oklahoma's on the right side of that bubble, but a road win would go a long way during this difficult stretch. Fears can't find it. Mitchell crashing. Another rebound. He's got 5. And then Grill, just a reach-in foul that time by Wagee.
Yeah, again, just not a smart foul because it's team foul number 7. And you're going to put Grill to the free throw line for the bonus. I mean, there is no chance for a steal there.
Oh, Caleb Grill to the free throw line. We talked about his three-point shooting, the top three-point shooter in the SEC at 48%. Injured most of last year. Comes back this year. Coach Gates telling us he had no doubt that Caleb Grill would come back, and he thinks he's going to be a future coach. That might have to be put on hold because this young man could certainly play some pro ball somewhere. He's from Mays High School. He played for his father, Coach Chris Grill, and his brother Alec is playing there now in Wichita, Kansas. Mom Lena is a Twitter sensation. Very entertaining follow if you're a Missouri fan for sure, and she's certainly proud, as is everybody in this Missouri fan base, of what Caleb Grill has been able to do this season.
So far, the Sooners just 2 of 11 from deep. They've got to make some of these.
The looks have been there as Grill gets caught holding on the box out, so Fears draws the foul. But that's only 16 fouls on Missouri.
That's a nice job by Fears getting inside position that time on the veteran Grill.
I mentioned the great record that Missouri has when they have more trips to the free throw line. Right now, they have 13 free throws. Oklahoma has just 4. And again, Oklahoma trapped. That leads to a run out. That leads to a Grill miss. Miss the layup. Now Oklahoma may have numbers the other way. Fears finds an open shooter, but Forsythe passed it up. Now it's Moore, tough shot, that misses everything. 10-point game, Missouri looking to add to the lead.
What am I going to tell both teams right now? Just slow down a little bit. There's the double on Mitchell, I love it.
Throw it, baits his knees. Scooped up by Grill. Around the horn they go. Inside. Back to Grill. Double pump. No, sir. Oklahoma has 5 on 4. Grill is not in the picture. Inside it goes to Moore. Blocked from behind. A swat by Tamar Bates. Grill, he's been quiet, not anymore. From downtown, the SEC's leading three-point shooter.
Why shoot twos when you shoot threes like he does?
Such a pretty rotation on every shot. Picturesque form from Caleb Grill.
So Oklahoma trying to run offense without the ball screen to eliminate the double.
Forsythe with an answer, a silencer for the freshman from Dale, Oklahoma.
Getting more minutes lately, 38% from bonus land. That will get you more minutes.
Well, he's worked up a lather after a couple early turnovers. Missouri has outplayed Oklahoma in seemingly every aspect. It's still just a 10-point game, and it's got a chance to go to single digits. On the steal, it's Miles all the way, and a foul called before the block. And that will send Miles to the free throw line with a chance to cut a 10-point deficit here in Como. 31-21 our score here with 3:57 to go. Mark, all things being equal, Oklahoma is fortunate to only be down 10.
Yeah, they have no answer for Mitchell. They haven't made threes, and yet they're hanging around because of their ability to get on the offensive glass, something they have not done a lot of this year. Mike, I wanted to say this. How about this crowd?
Yeah.
We had snow. It was supposed to be a bigger snow than it was today. And yet this place is just filled with tradition.
I've always said this, and I think it's, I don't want to say it's a rarity, but Missouri fans don't just love the fact that their team is good this year, which they're obviously good, and you and I have been on this bandwagon for quite some time, long before they were in the top 25. They love the game of basketball. When you talk to the fans around here, they truly love the sport. So it's not just jumping the bandwagon, which I've always admired about this particular fan base. I think for sure SEC fans, we know everybody in this part of the country loves football. They had been treated to exceptional basketball this season.
They've got a mismatch if they can get him the ball.
Tamar Bates has one rattle out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mike. I like that by Fears. He came down in transition, kind of tried to evaluate, didn't see anything. Back it out, run your offense.
Pass down low, easy layup. Oh, goodness. Northweather has to finish that one. Don't know how many more easy looks at the rim you're going to have against this suffocating Missouri D. Grill, meanwhile, hits the three, but an offensive foul, an illegal screen called on Josh Gray. Will take the three off the board.
I looked right over at Dennis Gates, and he looked right at Gray and says, "You cannot move." He knew it. And that's a good call. You cannot set a screen outside your shoulders. Excuse me, outside the width of your feet, which usually means your shoulders.
And quite frankly, we were talking about this during shoot around today. What makes Grill so special, he is not just a spot up shooter. He's got some elevation. He can shoot contested threes and still hit them. You don't have to set a perfect screen.
Right.
Just get in the way a little bit. And Oklahoma gives it right back. A little chicken wing on display by Jalen Moore.
Here's something I like from the Oklahoma staff. Even though they haven't zoned, they have gone down the floor. They have tried to change the tempo, the flow of the game.
Timeout by Missouri, who is, as you pointed out, Mark, they've had trouble inbounding the basketball. We could have had a first half with 2 5-second violations. Don't see that every day. Well, women's basketball will take over the SEC network this Thursday. Another great doubleheader. It all starts with Tahina Pow and number 4 South Carolina hosting freshman phenom Liv McGill and the Florida Gators. That'll be at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Mike Morgan, Mark Wise with you here at the Mizzou Arena. And for Missouri this season, Mark, there have been some memorable wins. December the 8th, remember Kansas was #1 at the time. If you know anything about that rivalry, you know just how huge that is. I had a front court seat for this one against 5th-ranked Florida, knocking down the Gators in a 1-point win, and then doing the same to a tough Ole Miss squad and completely annihilating Mississippi State at the hump. So it's a Missouri squad that has been battle tested and has answered the bell more often than not.
All kinds of improvements from last year to this year, and all kinds of smiles. And when you're 17-6,
yeah,
you'll get all kinds of smiles.
Well, they have become the blueprint, if you will, for anybody that's having a tough year to see how quickly it can turn around. You go 0-19 in SEC play a year ago, and their freshmen barely played, but they struck gold in the portal, starting with this guy right here. Mitchell! My goodness! Absolute annihilation down low.
That is big boy hoops.
14 points for Mitchell to go along with 6 rebounds. The drive, off-balance shot, and an offensive foul going for the rebound, I believe. Or maybe not.
Yeah, I think this is on Fredson Cole.
That's what I thought. Oklahoma thought it was on Missouri. Now they're going the right way.
That's just not fair. I mean, that's just not fair. Mark Mitchell may get to 1,000 points in the first half.
He's flirting with it. Good chance he'll eclipse that mark in this game tonight. Well, that is no matter what you think about the portal, the one thing that coaches love about it, if you're coming off a bad year, you don't have to be overly patient and wait for young players to develop. You can go into the portal, pick up proven commodities like a Mark Mitchell, and immediately turn your fortune around.
I think it's a great point that you make, and the good part of that is that what you just discussed. The bad part is you have to do it every year.
Right. The other bad part is you can also have players poached and lose guys in the portal, which is something that coaches keeps them up late at night. Fears gets the ball in front court as we are at 2 minutes remaining in the first half. Fears can't connect near the rim, might have gotten blocked. Quick ball movement and a quick 3 from the corner. Fears top floor for the rebound for Oklahoma.
Love that quick look in transition, corner 3.
Another turnover. Fears gives it away. And on the other end, Marquez Warren. Largest lead now for Missouri, 15 points and 11 costly Oklahoma turnovers.
You just cannot give the ball away, especially on the road. So there's a lot of dribbling without going anywhere.
Taylor. Miss up close from Jalen Moore. Oklahoma is shooting 22% from the field. Another mismatch. Mouse in the house for Mitchell, and an and 1 for 2-5 and White, who is just dominating down low, and he now has 1,000 career points.
I thought there was a chance he would get it tonight. I didn't think he would get it in the first 20.
Yeah. Well, this is just candy for a guy like Mitchell in the paint. And how many times has he gotten matched up against guards?
Yeah, Oklahoma's doing a lot of switching, a lot of picking up whoever's in front of you in transition. And Mitchell has taken advantage of that repeatedly.
A 17-point half for Mark Mitchell. Oklahoma again having trouble with this full court pressure. Breaks it here in the front court to Moore.
Double team the ball handler, make somebody else be a decision maker.
And Moore will go to the line for a pair. It's as if, Mark, Oklahoma is looking for a guy to take over the reins on offense, be a go-to guy. But that guy has not been there in this first half.
No, 23%, 3 for 13 from deep. The only offense is really Jalen Moore at the free throw line.
When you and I had them against Texas A&M, and there's no saltier defense than what the Aggies put together. They had a situation, obviously Goodine goes off, he hits 9 threes, but you had a combination of guys and better looking shots tonight.
Yes. Watching
this Oklahoma team, every possession has been a struggle just to get a good look.
They had some good early looks, but didn't make any. And another turnover.
That has been the story. And it lines up an easy deuce on the other end for Tony Perkins.
At some point in time, as a player, you've got to be determined, I'm not turning it over.
Anything but a TO. Oklahoma will play for the final shot. Fans on their feet. Elvis in the lane, fires it up too strong, gets it back, and is fouled with 2.6 on the clock.
I think everybody from Missouri got a little happy about trying to see if they could counter and forgot one important issue, and that you've got to have the ball in order to do that. Elvis missed a tough 2, but the ball actually hit the deck before he was able to gather it.
That kind of half for OU. Elvis, a 67% free throw shooter. Oklahoma will finish with its lowest scoring half of the season. 23 points, a chance at 24 here. Either way, it'll be the low mark. Now, Missouri will have a chance at the final shot. It'll likely be from long distance.
Yeah, I would throw it long. Let Mitchell go get it.
One-on-one. Oh my goodness, they got a foul. You had to call it as Wagee just put him in a bear hug. Mark Mitchell is going to go to the line.
This is like a wide receiver just shielding the defensive back from getting involved in the play. Both players have kind of bear hugging, but it's the last little bit by Wagee that commits the foul. I think that's a good foul. He never jumps, he never makes a play on the ball.
That'll draw you 15 in college football. Well, a memorable first half continues for Mitchell. The lefty makes it an 18-point first half.
Every once in a while, Mitchell looks like he has a hitch in his shot, but sometimes it comes off really clean out of his hands. Let's take another look. Does he have the hitch, or is it a little bit smoother?
Mitchell more made free throws than Oklahoma made field goals. A 20-point cushion. 2.6. Where's Grant Hill and Leitner when you need them? Similar play, but it'll go to the ground, and that is how the half will come to a close. A half dominated by Mitchell and Mizzou. 44-24, our halftime score as we send it. Oh, wait a minute. The officials are gathered around.
The ball went out of bounds, and I think somebody asked the officials to take a look.
Did it touch anybody is the first question.
Well, the long pass did because Moore touched the ball initially.
Okay. So that means.
Watch Moore's left hand right there. The clock, it does start. Does it go out of bounds?
I mean, at most you would have a couple of tenths of a second.
Which doesn't allow you to catch and shoot.
Right.
So if I'm the officials, I'm going,
let's go to intermission here.
We're done.
This might be time to mention the Mark Wise challenge system idea.
Yes. I'm a big believer after so many reviews taking so long.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the touch. The clock starts on time. When does it go out of bounds? You might have 0.5, I guess. And then you have to decide, well, who to go out on.
Well, that's the other part of the equation. Initially, I thought it was going to be Missouri basketball. I'm not so sure if that last angle, maybe we could see a reverse angle of some kind. Mitchell, by the way, with 19 points. It's 2 off his season high of 21.
It's only 4 off his career high of 23.
0.7 on the clock.
All right. Well, if you took the over on how many fractions of a second would be left, you win this one. It's 0.7. Well, we have 0.7 to have a memorable play right here. After we determine whose ball it is.
Yeah, I think it's Missouri's
okay,
ball.
So you could take a shot. I tell you who I'd be looking at, 31 in white.
Yeah.
Somehow get Caleb Grill around midcourt. Take your chances. Cruz in there as well, who's been red hot.
We've had 2.6 seconds.
There's
Take
Grill.
10 minutes.
There's the shot. That would have been good if it went. It does not. And now we can officially say 1/2 is in the books here in Como. Time now to send you to not America's favorite polka band, but the #1 studio show, Peter and the Pats. Here tonight, Missouri putting on a display in the first half and leading Oklahoma 44-24. As we welcome you back inside, he is Professor Mark Wise. I am Mike Morgan. Mark, we take a look at this Missouri squad. They got humbled a little bit at home for a rare time against Texas A&M. If there was any concern there'd be a hangover, no concerns at all. They came to play in the first 20 minutes.
Well, put the ball in Mark Mitchell's hands, and good things happened, especially in the first half. Mitchell utilized his size and guard skills to basically take the ball wherever he wanted, whether it was getting into the paint, getting on the offensive glass, scoring in transition. He simply was marvelous. He needed 16 points to get 1,000. He ended up with 19 in the first half. Missouri averages in league play 9.4 steals per game. That's best in the SEC. Well, they had 9 steals in the first half alone, and that led to those 12 points off turnovers. And basically, Missouri dominated play in the first 20 on both ends of the floor.
Meanwhile, for Oklahoma, the turnover bug certainly was an issue, and at times, Mark, they just had no flow or sync on offense. How do they turn that around in the second half?
Well, I think slow down, that's one thing, and then the other thing is the players have to make individual commitments and go, I'm not throwing the ball away. I might get a 5-second count, I might shoot a bad shot, but I am not turning the ball over.
Something that Coach Moser stressed to us this morning. They can't have those pick-6 turnovers, those live ball turnovers that lead to easy baskets the other way. First shot of the second half is a miss for Bates and Mizzou. So Oklahoma can do some damage these first 4 minutes. Very valuable if the Sooners are going to make a comeback. Inside Moore, reach and foul on Robinson, and that is his third.
Robinson has had some foul issues in recent games. Hasn't played as many minutes, and I talked about slumping a little bit offensively, just 6 points in his last 3 games. Oddly enough, Oklahoma with a negative 6.4 rebound margin in league play out-rebounded Missouri.
That might be the most misleading stat of this basketball game. They were crashing offensively early and won that battle. And they'll win this battle here. How about the hoop and the harm for Duke Miles?
I love the drive. I love the ball fake. Cruz made 2 mistakes on the play. One was leaving the floor, and then the second, after coming back down, watch him swipe. Here's leaving the floor, and then the swipe back. Nice job by Miles to get feet into the paint.
Transfer from High Point. I think a lot of SEC fans are still learning a bit about the two newbies, Texas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma has an amazing basketball tradition. 5 Final Fours, 33 All-Americans, 33 NCAA tournaments. And with that, of course, comes lofty expectations, regardless of what league, going from the Big 12, another very good league, to the SEC having a historically good season.
It looks like Missouri maybe a step slow coming out of the locker room to start the second half.
See if Oklahoma can take advantage.
Well, here's the issue. Mitchell and the ball.
Godwin bellies him up and almost a turnover. It will be a foul on Oklahoma. Missouri has 24 points in the paint in this game. So while they are an elite three-point shooting team, they haven't needed it. They only hit 2 threes in that first half, but it's been way too many easy baskets if you're Oklahoma trying to pull off an upset on the road.
Here's the isolation again.
Mitchell, that time, great block by Jalen Moore.
Well, this is the kind of start Oklahoma needs. A score and a stop.
Miles on the attack, sets up Moore. Moore takes it strong, missed it. Missouri might have got a hand on it. Perkins goes to work, wheeling, dealing, and gets the basket.
But see him stop outside the arc and play off 2 feet.
The former Iowa Hawkeye. Fears just 3 points in the first half.
Robinson got away with pulling Godwin's jersey.
Blatant jersey pull, but it actually works out well because Oklahoma gets the triple from Goodine. We know Goodine can ignite in a hurry. Nothing there. And a block by Fears. Out of bounds. It'll remain Missouri basketball with 12 to shoot.
Take another look at this jersey pull. It's Perkins. That is what we call a hold. That would get you 10 yards.
Yes.
Replay first down.
Yes.
But Goodine knocks down the 3.
Well, again, sometimes just works out your way. Oklahoma could use a few more breaks like that.
What do we say? Ball don't lie?
Ball don't lie. Mitchell, he hadn't been lying either. The truth is, nobody has an answer for number 25 in white, Mark Mitchell.
And this is not, again, I'm talking about Oklahoma. They're not an overly physical team. They're not an overly big team. So Mark Mitchell was going to be a big-time problem for Oklahoma no matter who guards him.
Mitchell ranked the 7th highest transfer in the country, and a huge get for Mizzou. Valentine's Day Gymnastics, a doubleheader on the SEC network. That's number 15 Arkansas taking on number 11 Georgia. That'll be at Stegman Coliseum. And then number 3 hosting number 12 Auburn. That'll be at the O-Dome. It's Valentine's Day. Nothing says happy Valentine's like a good old-fashioned balance beam. Mark, you're pretty good on the old balance beam, aren't you?
How do they do that? How do you even practice it?
We're just happy if you can go up a flight of stairs without falling.
Again, I don't like guys that hesitate. Fears was open, didn't feel right, took the dribble, didn't really commit himself to the shot.
Bump foul on Goodine. Now, you and I have talked about it. There's something about this Missouri team. I can't remember the first time we've had them this year. We've had them quite a few times. You and I fell in love with this roster early on. There's just something that looks different. They have balance. They have great shooting. They are a nightmare to guard down low with Mark Mitchell. Josh Gray's a great body off the bench for them. They got this guy, Caleb Grill, the best three-point shooter in the league. He's going to have to fire one up here. Nice defense by Oklahoma.
They can play in so many different ways with so many different lineups.
And it's a lot like the team 2 years ago that had a bunch of steals, hit threes, and route to a very successful season for Mizzou.
Won a game in the NCAA tournament.
Yep. Bates pulls the trigger on a three.
You got to be careful now because a rec league game may break out.
Goodine finds Fears. Oh no, this has not been one of the better games for the talented freshman Jeremiah Fears.
Yeah, he's got to shoot the shot. If you get it blocked, you get it blocked.
Right. Projected first-round draft pick. He is now 1 for 7 from the field with several turnovers. And almost an and one on the other end for Tony Perkins. Oklahoma did a little bit of damage, but it's still a 16-point cushion for the Tigers here in Como.
Honey? But the gains are pumping.
Dad, is Mommy a fight?
Brothers, it's not just a pre-game handshake, it's a pre-game hug. That's Armin Gates and Dennis Gates. Armin Gates, an assistant coach for Oklahoma. Dennis Gates, the head coach, of course, of Mizzou. This is not the first time they've gone head-to-head. When Armin was an assistant coach at Kent State and Dennis was an assistant coach at Northern Illinois, it was Armin that got the best of Dennis. He was 2-0 as an assistant coach when Kent State really had it rocking in the MAC. And now the third all-time meeting. Right now, Dennis has the upper hand.
And somewhere in the arena, there's a good contingency of the Gates family, and they are representing both sides tonight.
I love that. You can't show favoritism. So when you wear the T-shirts and you're related to both Armin Gates and Dennis Gates, you got to have both logos on the sleeves. And there you see them. That's fantastic. Not just on the sleeves, but on the front. You got OU and Missouri. That's fantastic. Somebody put, well, you got a sweatshirt, you got the long sleeve T-shirt. I mean, I want to get the name and number of their swag person. They put that together pretty good.
Tony
Perkins on the free throw.
Tony Perkins, Mike, one of those guys, we're going to say this a lot as we close out 2024, 2025. His 148th game. We're going to see a lot of players in this COVID redo era play over 150 games.
Yeah, it's become so commonplace. And if the Final Fours and the NCAA tournaments are any evidence, older very often is better. The days of just winning with a bunch of freshman phenoms has given way to teams that have much more experience. Just ask Connecticut. 3 seconds on the shot clock. You got to see it. You got to fire it. Elvis does, and it misses everything.
Great defensive patience by Missouri in that possession. Stayed true to their foundation, didn't over-rotate. Great job by the home team.
Kobe Elvis is a guy who started the first 16 games, and then they made the decision to start Bryson Goodine. Coach Moser did, because Goodine was shooting lights out. And one of the things he told us Coach did this morning is that Kobe Elvis has to still feel confident. Just because he's not starting doesn't mean he's not still a huge part of this team. But you know how it is, Mark. Sometimes that can be a little bit of a tough thing psychologically for a player.
Well, I love this line because he said he told Kobe Elvis, your role hasn't changed,
right,
just your shift has changed.
Right. And very often, as is the case with a Caleb Grill, just because you don't start doesn't mean you don't finish. And very often a guy off the bench actually plays more minutes than the starters. In fact, there's been some terrific players off the bench this year in the SEC. That's what we call a tease of the M&M segment coming up. Josh Gray, this has always been his kryptonite, the free throw line, where he shoots 50%.
But Mike, I like the role he plays for this team. He's had double figures in rebounds 5 different games. Remember, he had the monster double-double in that great win at Mississippi State where he went for 10 and 11. And I think he's going to get a chance for the hat trick
This is
at the free throw line.
This is where not so great form can help you buy another free throw attempt, because the entire Oklahoma team jumped in early anticipating a release, and instead it was like a double pump.
Looked like a Harlem Globetrotters routine.
Yes. And how about that? Gray says, see, third one's a charm. Josh Gray, who is now on his 3rd SEC school, LSU and South Carolina most recently.
So here's a few minutes with Elvis running the point. So Fears is playing off the ball now.
Oklahoma's gone over 3 minutes without scoring a point. Fears, there's the finish, and there's a chance at a 3-point play the hard way.
I just love the way Fears attacks here, but I think I want to watch his eyes. Watch coming at you. See if his eyes don't stay on the prize. See the way he's going to look that in all the way? So many times young players get banged around the basket and you tend to duck your head, which makes your eyes go down. That's a nice job by the freshman phenom.
Fears 6 points now on 2 of 8 from the field. And 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Perkins.
I was just about to say, Kobe Elvis is in a wrestling match trying to keep up with Caleb Grill.
Caleb Grill, the mark of a great shooter very often can be what you do without the ball. Caleb Grill knows how to get open, perpetual motion by a young man that always seems to have no wasted motion on the floor.
And because he does all that, it opens up things for other players,
Right.
even if he never touches the ball.
Exactly.
What did Dennis Gates tell us today about Caleb Grill? He's become a better player, a more complete player.
Yeah, he talked about the fact that he does so much more than just shoot the basketball. He's a guy that really just helps his team in a number of different ways. The biggest bucket he had, you know, he went off in that game in Gainesville in the upset of Florida. It was a nice play, a one-on-one for Tony Perkins. But the biggest play wasn't the half a dozen threes. It was a backdoor cut layup late in that game. Godwin, well, this is a 3-point play exhibition for both teams.
There's no question Oklahoma doing a much better job executing their offense. It's that early slip action. Instead of allowing the double team, Godwin with the quick slip, the easy finish, left-handed off the window.
The former Wofford Terrier completes the 3-point play.
Oklahoma, Mike, just kind of hanging around.
This game has gotten real physical. Just the battle between Perkins and Forsythe to get the basketball on the inbounds. And now Perkins says, I'm going to take it right at you.
Got to keep the ball in front of you defensively. Forsythe played catch up that whole possession.
10 points now for Perkins, and then Perkins on a steal. Add numbers. Mitchell mismatch. And a good help weak side by Fears. And it will be Oklahoma ball. Mitchell on the foul. You know, you get a 3 here, you cut it to 14.
Right.
Just keep chipping away. Oklahoma's not going to lay down. They play extremely hard. They have all year. And again, they come into this right now. Joe Lunardi has them in the field. Despite the fact that they're 3-7 in league play, they've got those quality non-conference wins. But we showed you that stretch of games, and like everybody else in the SEC, you have so many difficult games left on the slate. That one drops. Godwin heating up. Down to 15. reach the 13-minute mark of this ball game.
Mike, you talked about the OU wins. Those wins are not going anywhere. The win over Michigan, the winning the battle for Atlantis, as we see Gray get fouled inside. Take another look at this, Mike, though, because Oklahoma, Fears does a much better job off this screen. Watch the air pass. Remember the last possession? He did a bounce pass that allowed defenders to get involved, and that led to the turnover. The air pass gets there sooner, and as a consequence, Godwin's able to produce.
You and I have worked together long enough, I know. One thing you hate is a bounce pass into the post.
Yeah, it's just big guys don't like them. It's down around their feet, their knees, and it gives defenders, there's a certain time for a pocket pass. I'm a big believer in that. But most of the time, against pressure, the bounce pass is the slower pass and gives quick defenders the opportunity to be disruptive.
Only thing you hate more, a bad IPA. Thankfully, you have not experienced that in a while.
Not in 25.
Yes. I hate to see you get testy with the staff of any of the fine establishments here in Columbia, Missouri. Gray with that weird hitch in his free throws, and we have another lane violation. So it's working to his advantage.
You do remember the Harlem Globetrotter with the string, you know?
Absolutely. From Brooklyn, New York, Josh Gray. Hey, that's nothing but net. So the lane violation and the weird hitch works to the advantage of Josh Gray and the dismay of Oklahoma. The Sooners have hit their last 3 shots. Godwin working on Gray. Oh, a little fade and fire.
I don't mind that shot. It came out of the flow of the offense.
Grill passed up the 3. Fears was there to meet him. Perkins goes to work. Mizzou showing plenty of patience on this possession. Late shot clock down to 7. Down to 5, and he hits it. Good possession for Mizzou. You bleed 25 seconds off the clock, and then you get the deuce.
Again, play off 2 feet guards.
Under 12 timeout on the way on the next whistle. Fears blows by Gray on the hedge out and then gets another and one opportunity, and that'll bring us to a timeout. When we come back, the M&M a chance to take a look at some bench ballers in the SEC. Missouri out big here in Como. He is the Professor Mark Wise, Mike Morgan. Together we compile the M&M list, which today, Mark, features M&M beach ballers, top guys off the bench in the SEC. We've got a number of exceptional players, including Aiden Holloway for Alabama, instant offense off the bench, and terrific efficiency numbers.
Tahad Pettiford is the only freshman on this group. 11.5 points per game. He gives Bruce Pearl a little offensive punch.
How about Thomas Houck? You know, they lose Alex Condon in Starkville. Thomas Houck, all he does is flirt with a triple-double every game. He's one of the most imposing figures down low.
Kobe Barea for Kentucky, almost 11 points a game, but more importantly, 45% from bonus land.
And then, of course, Caleb Grill. He could start for just about anybody. He comes off the bench for Missouri, and when he does, it's instant offense, the #1 3-point shooter in the Southeastern Conference. And as we mentioned earlier with Grill, his overall game has really expanded.
He's become a more complete player, and if we had room for a 6th guy, we would have put Jordan Gainey on that list, another double-figure guy who comes off the bench for Rick Barnes.
Yeah, there's so many great players off the bench, and we talked about earlier, it's not just who starts, but who finishes games. A number of the players we just talked about are guys that when the game is on the line are instrumental in their team's success. Right now, tonight, the main man instrumental for Missouri's success is a starter, and that, of course, is Mitchell. Mitchell working on a career-high 19 points for Mark Mitchell, the junior, to go along with 6 rebounds.
I think this is the segment that will determine the outcome of the game. And what I mean by that is if Oklahoma is going to be around at the end, they have to win this segment.
Certainly would concur with that. Every time they put a dent into things, Missouri's got an answer, including one here. Big to big. Mitchell to Gray for the layup.
How about the fact that Mark Mitchell is a willing passer?
If this were baseball, Mitchell would be working on a no-hitter up to this point. He has been phenomenal. Three ball for the Sooners. No dice that time for Glenn Taylor. Mitchell again. Hope in the heart. Mitchell's day continues to be superb. 21 points, 7 rebounds for the former Duke Blue Devil.
Well, this is Missouri basketball, Dennis Gates style, if you will, getting the ball out in transition. It's the easy shovel pass by Grill that leads to the wide open look for Mitchell. That's just too easy.
Mark Mitchell.
Three-point play capped off by Mitchell's free throw. He's now 10 of 14 from the free throw line. And we talked about the importance of the free throw line. Missouri nearly unbeatable when they outshoot their opponents at the line. Well, Mitchell himself has outshot Oklahoma at the free throw line.
Missouri averages 25 plus free throw attempts per game. They've already taken 27. Only Alabama shoots more. And that will be one of the keys in that game on Saturday. Can Auburn keep Alabama off the free throw line?
That's going to be a special matchup. So many years Auburn and Alabama have been playing in college basketball, but nothing like Saturday. #1 versus #2. And a bold and fearless prediction, Mark Wise.
I'm going to give you a couple of things to look at.
I will take that as a bailout, but nevertheless, I want to hear it.
Take a look at this. Normally, if we talk about Auburn #1 and Alabama #2, we would talk about the line of scrimmage and who can put pressure on the quarterback.
Yes.
I think there's two things at play: the three-point differential and the free throw attempt differential. Auburn doesn't have to win both of them, but they cannot lose both of them.
I'll go with that. Alabama, at last check, and of course this can vary day by day in the sport, but the #1 scoring team, at least one of them in college basketball. And Auburn can certainly score in droves as well. It's just so amazing the job that both those coaches have done. We were there when Nate Oates got the job in Tuscaloosa, and when Bruce Pearl got the job in Auburn. Those were two programs that were kind of flailing away, and all of a sudden now we're talking about two teams, two programs that have been in a Final Four recently, that are winning SEC championships recently. I don't know if there's any two coaches that have done a better job in America in recent years than Pearl and Oates. Grill sinks the triple.
Now everybody in the SEC, Mike, is chasing Auburn and Alabama.
I mean, nobody would have ever have thought that. You got to go back to the days of maybe Wimp and Sonny, when Auburn and Alabama were at the top of the SEC world, and in this case at the top of the college basketball world. Largest lead right now for Missouri, and the Tigers can smell their 7th conference win of the year.
Watch out!
Grill heating up. Caleb Grill from downtown, where he leads the SEC at 48%, and he literally shoots the lights out here in Como.
Caleb Grill, for the 9th time this year, has made 3 or more threes in a game. He is an elite 8 threes. Look at this list. Well, whether you're talking about non-conference competition, whether you're talking about conference competition, whether you're talking about at home or on the road, This dude is in a league of his own right now in terms of making threes.
You know what else that stands out about that graphic that everybody at home just saw? Missouri won all those games.
Yes.
When Missouri wins, Grill averages 15.5 points. He's got 15 tonight. And when Caleb Grill gets to that mark, 15 points, Missouri is 7-0, undefeated on the year. So Caleb Grill not just hitting 3 points, three-pointers in garbage time. He's a guy that hits them with the game on the line, and more often than not, when he hits them at a high rate, they win the game.
Can I give you a couple of more numbers about
I would love
Caleb
more
Grill?
nuggets from you.
4 rebounds and 3 assists.
How about that? That's what we call a complete player.
Which speaks to the point we were trying to make about he's playing the best basketball of his career.
You know, Coach Gates talks about it. Caleb talked to us about it earlier this season, how someday he wants to coach. His father is a coach currently in Wichita, Kansas. I got news for Caleb. He might have to put that on hold a little bit, because with that good looking of a shot, he's going to be able to play pro ball somewhere. Just absolute bully ball down low by Missouri. This time it's Marcus Allen.
Yeah, one of the good-looking freshmen for Dennis Gates' club. He just kind of powers his way in. 6'7", 220 pounds from Miami. He gets to the free throw line a lot per minute played. It's easy to see why.
And again, Missouri had a highly rated freshman class. They just haven't been able to see the floor a whole lot, because so many guys, so many veterans and guys in the portal have been performing so well. It's not a knock on the freshman class. They might turn out to be the stars of the latter part of this year, or certainly next year, but for now, they've got to wait their turn. Missouri relentless, up big, full court pressure, keeps the heat on Oklahoma. Down by 28. Elvis. Seven on the shot clock for Fears. Fears off of 1 foot. I don't know if that's how he drew it up, but that's how it went up. Sure what that was from Robinson. Yes. Fears goes to work on Grill. Up top, Goodine. To the hands of Miles, and then inside it's Miles.
He doesn't mind challenging the bigs. Miles averages more than 10 points a game. 6'2". Plays much bigger than that.
Out of Montgomery, Alabama. Another three-point opportunity for Mizzou. 70-44. Missouri in control in Como. Take a look at today's Experts at Work, brought to you by Principal.
Well, if you want to be an expert defensively, play for Missouri. The activity, the quick hands, being in the right place at the right time, utilizing their length, their quickness, their commitment to playing on the defensive end. The deflections that they talked about today in the shoot-around have all come into play. Of Oklahoma's 16 turnovers in the game, there have been 11 Missouri steals.
Missouri, the top steals team in the SEC, with just under 9.5. And they've had that working today. And when they haven't had steals, they've forced turnovers in other ways. Sometimes it's the aggregate total, the diminishing returns over time. Missouri just keeps throwing jabs and body punches at you. And eventually, they become frustrating. I don't think anybody enjoys playing against Missouri's defense, and it's been that way since Coach Gates got here.
And you can play that way when you have great depth.
Right.
And Missouri has great depth.
And you know what else they have? Buy-in.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you got to have players that are committed to playing on that end of the floor with that type of intensity.
Watch the diamond and one that they've utilized several times today. 1-2, 1-1.
Godwin gets it down low. Size advantage over Bates, and they'll go back to the free throw line.
You know, if you had told Oklahoma's coaching staff Tamar Bates would have 2 points in the game,
Yeah.
you'd like your chances, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, he averages 14, and last year, if Tamar Bates didn't have a big night, Missouri would not only lose, they wouldn't be competitive. This year, Tamar Bates is a nice piece in the puzzle, but they don't have to rely on him.
He's the challenger in the group. He doesn't mind challenging his teammates.
Yeah.
He holds himself to a higher standard, and as a consequence, holds his teammates to a higher standard.
And again, he might be the most valuable player based on what he did in the offseason by convincing Mark Mitchell, another young man from Kansas City, hey, you need to come to Missouri when you hit that portal. You're going to be called by a lot of coaches and a lot of schools out there, but Mizzou is for you. Under 7.5 minutes to go. Nickel and dimer picked up by Peyton Marshall, the cumbersome freshman. 7 feet. He's down to 300 pounds out of Atlanta, Georgia. Miles 4 of 5 from the stripe tonight. The softball season rolls on with the Shriners Children's Clearwater Invitational. The SEC Network is home for these 4 games, starting with Wichita State and Kentucky. That'll be tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time right here on the SEC Network. Just another sport that the SEC has been dominant in. Of course, nobody's been more dominant than the program from Norman, Oklahoma. That has become almost like
Yes.
the Oklahoma Invitational of late.
What did you call him? One of the newbies.
One of the newbies. A heck of an addition in that sport. Crowd wants it to go to the freshman. Marshall got it, but missed it. Fears, no. More, yes. And then a steal. And an easy deuce off the turnover for Miles, and Coach Gates is not having any of that.
Oh, he is not. You could see him. He couldn't get guys to the check-in fast enough after that lazy pass. It's one of the few mistakes that Missouri has made in this game, and it's from Bates of all people. Duke Miles just quick to the spot.
Now Missouri in good shape to pick up its 7th win of the year. They will battle Georgia on Saturday at 3:30 at Stegman, Georgia. Georgia Bulldogs, by the way, have played more ranked teams than any college basketball team in America. It'll be a huge game for them for sure. Texas A&M hosting Arkansas. Don't look now, but Joe Lunardi has Arkansas as the first team out of the field. You mentioned Auburn, Alabama. Obviously, that's a headliner.
That State Ole Miss game is a huge game.
Yeah. Second time they have met this year on the hardwood. How about Kentucky? I mean, Kentucky's had a roller coaster, right? They started off, they were the toast of the town, then they hit a little bit of a skid. They're getting healthier now.
Yeah.
And that offense is still a lot of fun to watch.
They were plus 27 last night in three-point differential. As a matter of fact, there were some big numbers in terms of three-point differential last night. Auburn was plus 18. Florida was plus 21.
How about that?
And oh yeah, by the way, Alabama made 17 threes.
Missouri's only hit 4 threes in this game. Of course, most of those, in fact, 3 of them came from Caleb Grill. But that's the thing about Mizzou. They don't have to hit threes to beat you. They get so many free throws, and they have a force inside like this guy, Mark Mitchell.
Now he needs to make both of these to set a new career high. And of course, I ruined that.
I mean, why don't you just roll a black cat in front of him, Mark? My goodness.
Oh, me.
1 out of 2.
He's now tied his career
You
high.
think he knows what? You think he knows he's tied it?
I may holler it.
Something tells me word has gotten out that he needs 1 more point to get a career high on its own.
The Mizzou defense has just not given Oklahoma anything easy.
Especially for this guy, Fears. He's had a target on his back tonight. Nothing easy for the freshman. Moore leads the break for Oklahoma, but there's not much of a break to be had. Missouri getting back well. Miles just jacks one up and hits it right in the face of Mark Mitchell.
And Duke Miles, 44% from deep on the year.
Well, neither one of these teams have given up an ounce of effort. A problem for Oklahoma. That includes Missouri, who still leads it by 21. Mark, as we look ahead, we know Missouri is going to continue to be a matchup problem for a lot of teams in this league. But where does Oklahoma go from here? We talked about this brutal stretch of games.
Right.
5 straight ranked opponents, first time since the early 90s. But how important are the next couple of games for the Sooners, who will likely leave the building tonight with a 3-game losing streak?
Yeah, they go back home to play LSU, but 3 of their next 4 are at home in terms of LSU, Mississippi State, and Kentucky. So as long as Oklahoma can win some of their home games, again, I've said this all season long, I think 8 gets you in the NCAA tournament in terms of league wins. Oklahoma is one of those teams that is only at 3. Their overall resume is better than most because of those quad 1 wins that they picked up in the battle for Atlantis.
Ball was in the cylinder, no basket for Oklahoma. Something I think, and this could certainly apply to Oklahoma as well as other teams, 8 gets you in. I don't think there's any question about that. 7 is probably on the bubble, and that is where that opening round in Nashville of the SEC tournament is going to be huge. There's going to be a number of teams that their fate, Big Dance or NIT, is going to be determined on the opening night.
Some true play-in, play-out games.
Yes, yes, which is what, look,
that's what you want in a conference tournament.
In the day and age of conference tournaments where the top teams in a league like the SEC have already punched their ticket, that provides a little drama, and I think we'll have plenty of it. Because there's going to be some good teams that don't get to 8 wins in the regular season, but might be at 6 or 7 that'll need a run in Nashville to get over the hump. How about Missouri's bench tonight? 31 points.
That's kind of par for the course for them, isn't it?
That's the depth you alluded to earlier. Under 4 to go. Perkins tied up. And Perkins gets fouled. He will be at the free throw line when we come back.
Mark Mitchell on the fly pattern connects, and Mitchell did what he has done the entire game, dominate block to block. Missouri with a dominating performance thanks to Mark Mitchell.
I'm going to give you a stat nerd question on that play. Are you ready? That play, Mitchell, of course, as he's done all night against particularly smaller defenders, just plays bully ball and wins it 10 times out of 10. The pass by Grill.
Yeah.
Beautiful pass, but Mitchell took not 1 but 2 dribbles. So I don't think he gets an assist there.
You know where I stand on that. If the pass leads to the basket, I'm going to allow 1 dribble.
He took 2.
Then I'm not going to allow.
Okay.
I have to. Now you're making me stand by my own standards.
I thought maybe you were going to bend the rules there.
Did he really take 2?
He took 2 dribbles. I don't know if he needed 2. But
well, that's what I
2.
meant. He didn't need to.
Yes. You know, you and I are in agreement, and I have submitted my request to the NCAA for couple of decades now on this. If you throw a pass to a guy who's fouled and he hits the free throws, that should be an assist.
Could not agree more.
So I'll accept the Grill doesn't get one on a 2-dribble dunk for Mitchell. But if somebody passes you the ball and you hit the free throws, that should be an assist. We'll see if we can get that changed. It's only been the rule for about 100 years. But we've got that kind of clout and sway over here. All the clout has been in the mighty hands of Mizzou tonight. They dominated this game from start to finish. Oklahoma really never had much of a chance.
The shot clock reset, so the officials are going to talk about this. Was there a change of possession? I didn't think there was. I didn't think Missouri ever had control, but maybe they did. I'd have to go back and look at this again.
The 213th meeting will be prolonged by a little clock delay here.
Watch Perkins deflects this ball, but I don't think he ever has it.
No,
He does
it's
not
on the table.
gather it. So now they have
Shot clock is under review.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what I was
under
about
review,
to say. The shot clock is the issue here.
Yeah, I don't think that should reset. 213th meeting between these two teams. This goes back to the early 1900s in the Missouri Valley. Then it was a Big 6 battle, Mark.
Yeah.
Then a Big 7 battle. Then a Big 8. Then the Big 12 for 20-something years before Missouri departed for the SEC. And, of course, now Oklahoma joins. Oklahoma came in leading this all-time series 115-97.
You do know I have been around the game for a long time.
Yes.
But you mentioned some conferences I did not know existed. I'm not up on the Big 6 right now.
You weren't a big fan of the Big 6?
I know. I got nothing.
I'm just old enough to remember the Big 8. That's what I remember, and I remember what a big deal it was when the Big 8 and the Southwest Conference kind of joined forces for the Big 12. But now this is an SEC matchup and will forever be between Oklahoma and Missouri. Final 3 minutes and change. Miles has been active in this second half. Leads the way with 18 for Oklahoma.
Moore hasn't gotten very many looks in this game.
In a pedestrian game for him, 10.7 rebounds for the team's leading scorer. Foul from behind on Jalen Moore. Missouri's going to hit 80 points tonight. They're 14-1 when they do so. They're 15-2 when holding opponents under 80 points, and that seems to be a safe bet as well.
Jalen Moore's night is done as he's been taken out.
Kind of funny sometimes how a game winds up. If you would have told us Missouri would be up by 25 at this stage, we would have said, well, surely Missouri dominated Oklahoma on the glass.
Right.
Oklahoma last in the SEC in rebounding. That's actually fairly even. I thought it was interesting what Coach Moser told us about the rebounding this year and the problems that they have had. He said, you know, when I was a head coach of Loyola Chicago during that Final Four run, there were times we didn't have anybody on the floor above 6'7", and we still held our own on the glass. This year, it's been a huge challenge, and even the glass being even tonight, Mark.
Yeah.
The size differential down low, though, has clearly hurt Oklahoma and favored Mizzou.
Yeah. When you talk about who's going to guard Mark Mitchell, and it's such a bad matchup, not only for Oklahoma, but anybody Missouri plays. And by the way, congratulations to Mark Mitchell, who did set his career high, and his new career high matches his jersey number.
How about that? That's what we call symmetry. I don't think he'll be back out there, so he'll finish with 25.
And because Moore fouled out, he hasn't sat down, and student section have finally given up. Moore 1, student section 0.
Now, the student section wins the Die Hard Awards because they have stayed for what looks like the final minutes of this game. Many of the crowd taking an early exit, beat the traffic home. There's another terrific crowd tonight here at the Mizzou Arena. Another near sellout.
Glenn Taylor is going to go to the free throw line. Mike, while I have a moment, the NCAA selection committee has a sheet that anybody could access, and one of the things on that sheet is conference strength of schedule. And what they do is they compare and rank everybody's conference schedule across the country, because no two conference schedules are created equal anymore.
Right.
In that ranking system, conference strength of schedule, the SEC has the top 13 conference strengths of schedule. You have to go to UCF at 14 before you get a non-SEC team. Just another example of what a historic season this has been for the league.
I don't know for the common fan, the more fringe fan, if those early results in November, December really resonated to understand how that was going to put the SEC in the driver's seat in almost every metric the rest of the way. Because as we know, 18 conference games, you're beating up yourself. You're cannibalizing yourself. So all those non-conference games that very often get overshadowed, you've got college football going on, that is some of the best tests to see how you're going to rank in the type of numbers you're talking about.
Right.
Because it's the only true conference versus other conference games that we have. We lose that from January on.
Tell me another conference where there is no bad loss.
Yeah, it doesn't
No matter
exist.
who you lose to,
Well,
there's no bad loss. That doesn't exist. Take a look at the latest by Joey Brackets.
you want to put it in perspective, you know who's not pictured there? South Carolina. They have a win against Clemson, who, by the way, just beat Duke. Clemson's one of the best teams in the ACC, and they lost to the last place Gamecocks. So, in case you, who, by the way, nearly pulled off another upset, they keep coming close. They lost to Ole Miss at home preceding our game tonight. But LSU has some quality non-conference with everybody in this league from top to bottom showed up and showed out in November and December to help pave the way for what is going to be, I don't think there's any debate, it's going to be a new NCAA record for bids. The record was, or is, the Big East with 11.
Right.
I can't see any scenario where this league gets less than 12.
I think Lenardi made this point in an interview the other day. Normally, this time of the year, you have some teams drop off the bubble completely because of league play. And the SEC has been immune to that.
Correct. A couple of late free throws here to make it a 22-point game. Again, Missouri led by 20 at the half. Oklahoma tried to chip away, but Missouri continually had an answer tonight. And after a heartbreaking loss on a buzzer beater by Wade Taylor IV, they have come back with a vengeance here. Hayden Shaw, alley-oop. An exclamation point to a dominating performance tonight for the hometown Tigers. Should be the final possession of the game. Forsythe misses the three, and Missouri will let the final 5 seconds run out. First win versus Oklahoma since February the 6th of 2012 in what is the 213th meeting all time between Oklahoma and Mizzou. Mark Wise, some final thoughts.
The Tigers end up shooting 54%. They go to the free throw line 35 times, but it was the dominating performance by Mark Mitchell which set the tone early and led to this big win at home.
Mitchell finishes with 25 points, 7 rebounds, and the guys ready to talk about it back in studio. It is Peter Burns and the Pats. Gentlemen, take it away.